Capricorn, Capricorn. Why one sentence is enough to lose them forever? Did you know that there's a single phrase capable of making a Capricorn cut you out of their life forever? And the worst part is, you might be saying it without even realizing it. Capricorns are known for their unwavering loyalty, their unwavering patience, and that impressive capacity for forgiveness. But there is a limit. And when that limit is crossed, there is no going back. No excuse, no explanation, no second chance will be enough. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 phrases that can completely destroy a relationship with a Capricorn. They are seemingly harmless words that strike at the deepest core of their personality. And look, number 5 will shock you because you've probably said it to someone thinking you were being kind or funny. If you have a Capricorn in your life, whether a boyfriend, friend, family member, or coworker, you need to watch this video until the end. Because the difference between keeping this person by your side or losing them forever can come down to a single poorly worded sentence. Capricorns don't make a scene. They don't fight. They don't argue. They simply disappear. And when that happens, you'll be wondering what you said. So stick with me until the end, because sentence number 5 is so surprising that you'll want to review all your recent conversations. So, before we continue, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because this content will reveal truths about Capricorn that nobody dares to say. And leave a like, because this video will save many relationships out there. Now come with me, because what you are about to discover can completely change the way you relate to the Capricorns in your life. It seems harmless, doesn't it? It even sounds like a casual, almost affectionate observation. But when you say that to a Capricorn, what they really hear is, your values don't matter. Your essence is an exaggeration. Your way of being is a flaw. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, responsibility, and structure. While the world chases instant gratification, Capricorn builds cathedrals. While others make promises that are carried away by the wind, Capricorn makes commitments that last for decades. This seriousness is not a burden. It is the backbone of their integrity. Imagine an architect dedicating years to the design of a bridge. Every calculation, every detail, every beam positioned with millimeter precision. Now imagine someone coming along and saying, "Relax, it's just a bridge." You're exaggerating. That's exactly how a Capricorn feels when you downplay the depth with which they live. Why is this phrase fatal? Because for Capricorn, taking life seriously is the only honest way to exist. When you mock that, you're not criticizing a behavior. You're attacking their identity. You're saying that the foundation of everything they are is wrong. And here's the secret that few understand. Capricorns already carry a cruel inner doubt. They already wonder if they are too rigid, if they should be more easygoing, if their nature pushes people away. It's a silent insecurity that no one sees, because their exterior is a fortress. But when you throw that phrase at them, you confirm their worst fear. You validate that inner voice that whispers, "You are too heavy to be loved." Do you realize the poison in that statement? It's not about relaxing. It's about existential invalidation. And Capricorn doesn't negotiate its existence. If you don't respect how they love, work, and live, then you don't deserve to be in their lives. Simple as that. No drama. No tears. Just a door that closes and never opens again. Capricorns believe that loyalty, commitment, and depth are rare treasures in a superficial world. When you disregard these qualities, you don't just lose their trust. You lose the privilege of knowing the truest and most valuable side a person can offer. And a Capricorn won't beg you to appreciate what they bring. They will simply leave in silence, taking with them a love you will never find anywhere else. So, the next time you feel like saying you take everything too seriously, stop, breathe, and ask yourself, am I really prepared to lose this person forever because of 5 words? That phrase is a direct hit to the heart of a Capricorn. Because when you say that, what Capricorn hears is, your effort is worthless. Your sacrifice is selfish. Everything you've built is irrelevant because I feel neglected. But let me explain something fundamental about Capricorn that most people don't understand. For them, work isn't just work. It's love translated into action. It's security built with sweat. It's tangible proof that they are worthy of respect and that they can protect those they love. Imagine a centuries-old tree. Its roots plunge deep into the earth, seeking water and nutrients even during the harshest drought. The tree doesn't do this out of stubbornness. It does so because it ensures its branches will continue to provide shade, its leaves will continue to photosynthesize, and its fruit will continue to nourish. Capricorn is that tree. The work is done by the roots. And when you criticize those roots, you are asking for the tree to die. You know what's saddest? Capricorns work hard precisely for the people they love. That project that keeps them up late? It's to pay for their children's college education. That promotion that requires sacrifices? It's to finally provide that dream trip, that venture that consumes their weekends? It's to build a legacy that will protect their family for generations. But when you reduce all of that to you only think about work, you commit devastating emotional violence. You turn love into a flaw. You turn sacrifice into abandonment. You tell someone who is building a castle for you that the castle doesn't matter, that you would prefer just empty words and purposeless presence. And here lies the deepest wound. Capricorns know they aren't perfect at demonstrating affection with sweet words and constant romantic gestures. They know their love language is different, quieter, more practical. So they compensate by being the unwavering pillar, by being that person who never fails, who always delivers, who turns promises into reality. When you attack this, you attack the only way Capricorn knows how to say I love you. It's like telling a poet their words are just scribbles. Like telling a musician their melody is just noise. You destroy not only the action, but the sacred intention behind it. And you know what happens after that sentence? Capricorn won't argue. They won't try to explain themselves. Because if you don't see that every extra hour, every completed project, every achievement is a declaration of love, then you'll never understand the language they speak. And Capricorn doesn't translate their essence to anyone. Either you understand or you lose. The painful truth is this: Capricorns are incapable of loving without purpose. They don't know how to feign lightness when they're building security. They don't know how to smile carefree when they're carrying responsibilities on their shoulders. And if you need them to be different from that, then you don't truly love them. You love a fantasy. And Capricorn will not become a fantasy for anyone. So when that phrase slips from your lips, you're not just complaining about absence. You're saying, your way of loving is wrong. And for Capricorn, someone who rejects their way of loving doesn't deserve to receive that love. No resentment. No bitterness. Just a dignified and permanent separation. That phrase is like ripping the skin off a Capricorn and then asking why they're bleeding. Because you're demanding they do something that goes against their very survival instincts. Let me tell you a secret about Capricorn. As a child, this sign learned too early that the world isn't kind to those who show vulnerability. Maybe you saw a father or mother emotionally crumble and lose everything. Maybe they were betrayed just when they opened up. Maybe you realized that people use your weaknesses as weapons. So Capricorn built an armor, not out of coldness, but out of necessity. Like a soldier who learns not to scream in pain during battle, because the enemy uses the scream to locate and attack. Capricorn's emotional restraint is not a lack of feeling. It's an excess of feeling protected by a necessary wall. Imagine a bank vault. Inside, there is no emptiness. There are treasures. Diamonds, gold, priceless documents, irreplaceable memories. The vault is locked not because the contents don't matter, but because they matter too much. Because if it is stolen, if it is lost, if it is desecrated, the devastation is irreversible. Capricorn is that vault. And when you say you never show your feelings, you are demanding that he leave the vault open in a world full of thieves. But here's what you don't understand. Capricorns show their feelings all the time. Just not in the way you expect. They show them by staying. Not running away when things get tough. Being reliable when everyone else disappears. Keeping promises that others forgot they made. Building a solid future while others sell fleeting dreams. A Capricorn's demonstration of love is in the action, not the word. It's in the medicine bought without you asking. In the tire changed in the rain. In the plan B already prepared in case plan A fails. In the protective silence that spares you unnecessary worries. You want poetry? Capricorn gives you engineering. And engineering is what holds bridges together when poetry has evaporated. Do you know how cruel that phrase is? It's that Capricorns already struggle internally every day with the desire to open up versus the terror of being destroyed. It's a silent war that takes place inside their hearts every time someone they love cries, every time someone they love needs words of comfort that they can't bring themselves to say. They suffer from this more than you can imagine. They wish they were different, but they don't know how to be vulnerable without feeling dangerously exposed. It's like asking someone with vertigo to cross a rope bridge over an abyss. Technically, it's possible, but the terror is real, physical, paralyzing. And when you throw that phrase around, you're not helping. You're confirming their worst fear, that their way of loving will never be enough, that no matter how loyal they are, how present they are, how many mountains they move behind the scenes, they will still be accused of coldness. They will still be misunderstood. They will still be judged by a metric they can't reach. So Capricorn makes a cold, rational decision. If my way of loving isn't accepted, then this person isn't for me. No guilt, no self-pity, just a painful recognition of fundamental incompatibility. And he walks away, not because he doesn't feel, but because he feels too much to stay where he isn't understood. The cruel irony? The moment Capricorn leaves, you finally realize how much he showed. You realize in the lack of stability you didn't value, in the absence of security you took for granted, in the void left by someone who never made empty promises but always kept the real ones. But then it's too late, because Capricorn doesn't come back, never comes back, and you spend the rest of your life searching in other people for that solidity that only he had, that silent demonstration of love that you mistook for indifference. And you understand too late that some loves scream in whispers, and you are waiting for a sound that would never come. Before we reveal the last two fatal phrases, I need to know from you, the viewer. Have you ever experienced this misunderstanding firsthand? Have you ever been accused of being cold when you were actually just protecting yourself? Or have you ever uttered one of these phrases without understanding the damage it would cause? Comment below. It doesn't matter if you're a Capricorn or if you have one in your life. I want to know which of these phrases hurt the most. And is there any other phrase that you consider even more destructive? Let's have a real conversation here, because I know many people are deeply identifying with this. And if you're enjoying this content, share it with someone who needs to better understand Capricorns. It could save a relationship. Now come with me for the last two revelations. Number 5, especially, will leave you speechless. If there's one phrase that can destroy a Capricorn faster than lightning, it's this one. Because when you say it, you're not just making a criticism. You're detonating a nuclear bomb in their deepest, most hidden insecurities. Let me explain something that nobody talks about regarding Capricorn. Behind that confident posture, that appearance of someone who has everything under control, there's a creature haunted by imposter syndrome. Capricorn lives with a secret fear of not being good enough, that all their achievements are frauds, that at any moment someone will point a finger and shout, "You don't deserve to be here." It's like a mountaineer on the summit of Everest, who, instead of celebrating the achievement, looks down in terror, fearing they will fall. Each step Capricorn climbs in life doesn't bring relief. It brings more responsibility, more pressure, more certainty that the fall, when it comes, will be even more devastating. So when you say you think you're better than everyone else, you're not just wrong. You're being profoundly unfair. Because Capricorn doesn't think they're better. Capricorn works themselves to the bone precisely to try to be good enough. All that dedication, all that discipline, all that high standard doesn't stem from arrogance. It stems from a visceral fear of failure. You know what's saddest? Capricorns set high standards for themselves, not for others. When they demand excellence, they are projecting outward the internal war they wage every day. They don't look at others with disdain. They look at themselves with a brutal severity that no one sees. It's like a master builder who constructs his own house with obsessive perfection. Every brick aligned, every wall plumb, every finish impeccable. Not because he wants to humiliate the neighbors, but because he knows that if the structure fails, it's his family that will suffer the consequences. Capricorn builds his life with that same existential urgency. And when you interpret this self-sufficiency as superiority, you commit a devastating act of interpretative violence. You transform protection into arrogance, competence into presumption, responsibility into elitism. And Capricorn, who already doubts his own worth so much, receives yet another confirmation that something is fundamentally wrong with him. Here's what really happens in the heart of Capricorn when he hears that phrase, a toxic mix of anger and pain. Anger because he worked harder than anyone to get where he is. Pain because the accusation confirms his greatest fear, that his way of being pushes people away, that his excellence is a curse, that he is condemned to loneliness at the top. Do you know what the cruelest part is? Capricorns often silently envy carefree people, those who can make mistakes and laugh, those who don't feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. They don't think they're better. They often feel trapped in a prison of expectations that they themselves built but don't know how to escape. So when you attack with that phrase, you're kicking someone who's already down. You're humiliating someone who already humiliates themselves every day in the silence of their own conscience. You're confirming that they are exactly the cold and arrogant monster they fear becoming. And Capricorn won't try to defend themselves. Because how do you defend yourself against an accusation that echoes your own inner voice? How do you explain that all that effort comes from inadequacy, not superiority? How do you make someone understand that you're not on top feeling superior, but feeling absolutely alone? So Capricorn simply walks away, not with flamboyant anger, but with a chilling sadness and a definitive conclusion. If you see me that way, you've never truly seen me. And I'm not going to waste energy trying to explain myself to someone who has already decided who I am. And the greatest tragedy? In the silence of his absence. You'll never discover how many nights he spent awake wondering if he was good enough. How many times he doubted himself. How many achievements he attained not out of arrogance, but out of a paralyzing fear of being irrelevant. You're not losing an arrogant person. You're losing someone who fought against inner demons every day to be worthy of love. And when that person leaves, they take a lesson with them. It's better to be misunderstood alone than misunderstood alongside someone who should know you better. This is the most shocking phrase of all. Not because it's aggressive, but because it's treacherous, disguised as innocence after having plunged a knife into the chest of a Capricorn. Let me explain why this phrase is the ultimate execution of any relationship with a Capricorn. Because it invalidates their pain and transforms the aggressor into a victim. It's the perfect emotional manipulation. You hurt them, and when they react to the pain, you accuse them of being dramatic. It's pure poison. Capricorns have an absurd tolerance for pain. They endure criticism, withstand pressure, and carry impossible burdens without complaining. But there's a point that, when touched, causes their entire fortress to crumble. And that point is when someone intentionally minimizes the pain they caused. Imagine a soldier returning from war. He has witnessed horrors. He has lost comrades. He carries invisible scars. And when he finally tries to share a fragment of that pain, someone says, "Oh, stop being dramatic, it's over." That is the ultimate annihilation. Not of the original pain, but of the very validation of having the right to feel. When you hurt a Capricorn and then say, "I was just kidding," relax. You commit 3 acts of violence simultaneously. First, you invalidate his perception of reality. You're saying that what he felt isn't real, that the pain is made up, that he's exaggerating. That's emotional gaslighting. Second, you shift the blame. Suddenly, the problem is no longer what you said, but his reaction. You turn the victim into the villain. And Capricorn, who already carries too much guilt for his own imperfections, now has to carry guilt for having been hurt by your cruelty. Third, you ridicule vulnerability. Capricorns rarely open up. When they express that something hurt, they are making a monumental effort at vulnerability, and you throw that away with a relax. It's like they finally take off their armor and you spit on the exposed wound. Do you know what makes this even more devastating? It's that this phrase usually comes after jokes that were never funny. Comments disguised as humor that always carry a real barb. Criticism wrapped in jokes. Public humiliations justified by "it's just a joke." And Capricorn endures it. Once, twice, 3 times. Because he doesn't want to seem like the boring person who can't take a joke. Because he's trying to be less rigid, more easygoing, more accepting. But each joke accumulates, like small cuts that alone are insignificant, but together bleed a person to death. Until one day, Capricorn reacts. And when he reacts, it's not with hysteria. It's with clarity, with a calm and frightening firmness. He sets a limit. He says that wasn't funny, that it hurt, and he expects, perhaps for the last time in his life, that you have the decency to acknowledge it. And then comes, "I was just kidding, relax." At that moment, something breaks within Capricorn. Not with a bang, but with a silent, definitive crack. Like a tree branch that has endured too much snow and finally gives way. And when that happens, there is no going back. Because Capricorn understands something fundamental at this moment. You weren't playing around. You were being cruel, and now you're being cowardly. You're refusing to take responsibility for the emotional damage you caused. And if there's one thing Capricorn despises more than anything in this world, it's cowardice. Capricorns respect brutal honesty. You can criticize them harshly, as long as you're truthful and stand by what you said. But lying, manipulating, hurting, and then feigning innocence? That's unforgivable. Because it reveals not only a lack of character, but a willingness to twist reality to escape responsibility. And here's what few understand. When Capricorn walks away after that phrase, it's not because of wounded pride. It's for self-preservation. Because they recognize a toxic pattern that will only get worse. Today it's relax, it was just a joke. Tomorrow it will be, "you're too sensitive." Then it will be, "you misinterpreted." And eventually it will be, "you're crazy, I never said that." Capricorn knows where that path leads. And he prefers the solitude of his own company to the madness of trying to maintain sanity in a relationship where reality is constantly negotiable according to the other person's convenience. So when that phrase is uttered, Capricorn doesn't argue, doesn't try to convince, doesn't waste time explaining why they're wrong. They simply look you in the eye, see everything they need to see, and make a final, irrevocable choice. You no longer deserve access to their life. And the part that will really shock you? It's that Capricorn will leave without resentment, without a desire for revenge, without bad-mouthing you behind your back. They simply erase you from their existence with the same efficiency with which they erase an error in a spreadsheet. You become irrelevant. And irrelevance, for someone who wanted to be part of a Capricorn's life, is the cruelest punishment there is. Because you will live knowing that there was someone of rare integrity in this world. Someone who would have moved mountains for you. And you lost that person not because of a grand drama, not because of an epic betrayal, but because you lacked the humility to say, "You're right. That hurt. I'm sorry." 5 words you couldn't say. And that cost you someone worth more than you'll ever find again. Now you understand, don't you? The tragedy of Capricorn isn't in the phrases they hear. It's in the abyss between who they are and who the world demands they be. Capricorns live in an invisible prison, trapped between the need to be strong and the desperate desire to be seen. Between the armor that protects them and the walls that isolate them. Between the respect they earn and the love they crave but don't know how to ask for. They climb mountains alone not because they love solitude, but because they learned too early that no one climbs with them. They build fortresses not out of coldness, but because the world taught them that vulnerability is an invitation to destruction. They maintain impossible standards not out of arrogance, but because they believe that only in this way will they be worthy of remaining. And the most painful truth of all? Capricorns don't want to be invincible. They dream of the day they can let their guard down and still be safe. Of the moment they can say, "I'm tired," without it being used against them. of the person who will look at all that armor and not see coldness, but protection. Not see distance, but see fear. Not see arrogance, but see someone who is fighting to be good enough. But that day rarely comes, because the world continues to demand strength from them. It continues to confuse their restraint with indifference. It continues to punish them precisely for what they should admire: the ability to remain upright in a world that rewards falsehood. So they continue, climbing, building, carrying, alone, always alone, even when surrounded by people. Because loneliness is not the absence of company. It's the absence of understanding. And Capricorn lives in a populated solitude, where everyone sees the mountain, but no one sees the exhausted climber clinging to the slope. And when they finally leave, when they cut someone out of their lives forever, it's not cruelty. It's a final act of self-love. It's saying, I deserve someone who sees my strength and understands that beneath it lies a beating heart, a heart that aches, a heart that yearns to be understood. If you've made it this far, I have a question for you. Do you recognize this pain? It doesn't matter if you're a Capricorn or not. Have you ever felt this profound misunderstanding? Have you ever found yourself building walls to protect yourself and being accused of coldness? Have you ever carried the world on your shoulders and been called a workaholic? Have you ever maintained high standards and been accused of arrogance? This isn't just the story of one zodiac sign. It's the story of anyone who chose integrity in a world that values convenience, of anyone who chose depth in an age of superficiality, of anyone who refused to feign lightness when carrying the weight of the world. Now I want to know from you, which of these 5 phrases affected you the most? Have you ever said any of them without understanding the damage? Or have you ever heard them and felt that irreparable crack in your chest? Comment below. Let's create a community of people who understand that some words can't be taken back, that some doors, once closed, have no key left, that some silences speak louder than any shout. And if you have a Capricorn in your life that you love, share this video with them. Sometimes, being seen is the greatest gift we can give someone. Sometimes, understanding is worth more than 1,000 declarations of love.